Hi, Paul from Trekitt here. We're filming today for some product and we're upstairs at the Hereford shop in our brand new equipment showroom. We've created this space so our customers can come and try out tents, bivvy bags, sleep mats, sleeping bags, plenty of space. We can put a tent up, you can get inside it, you can fill it full of sleeping mats and sleeping bags and really get a good feel for the size of the tent and how it pitches. So today we're going to have a look at the Wild Country Hoolie 3 ETC. Now the Hoolie 3 ETC is a large three-man tent suitable for cycle touring, for base camp use. The ETC just literally stands for etc. So it's a three-man tent with an extended vestibule. So you get as much room in the vestibule as you do in the sleeping area, and you can use that space for sitting in grotty weather, for cooking, for sticking your bikes in out of the way. Really just gives you a really good extra usable space, makes the tent very versatile. That's how big it is. That's an Elgin 1 litre water bottle, so that gives you some idea of the size of the tent. Wild Country claim this to have a weight of around 3.6, 3.7 kilos, but I've got our handy digital scales here, so I'm actually going to weigh the tent so you know exactly how much it weighs as it comes to you. Now bear in mind this has got all the packaging in here, it's got some bits of plastic in here, plastic bags, it's got a tag on it, it's got instructions in there, so this is the absolute maximum weight of the tent. Okay, so with everything in there, as it would come to you from us, it's 3.8 kilos or 8.4 pounds. Okay, so here she is fully pitched. Although that was done on a bit of time-lapse photography, that took Harry and I about 3 to 4 minutes to get that put up. It's really easy to pitch. All the poles are the same length, so it doesn't matter which pole sleeve you put them in. Makes it really simple. And the inner tent comes pre-attached to the top of the fly sheet, so that the tent goes up in a one-up. All you've got to do, as you saw, is pull the inner tabs and attach them to the bottom of the poles to get that inner tent nice and taut. You can obviously separate the inner from the outer if you just want to use the outer in really, really warm conditions or as a minimal lightweight shelter. And obviously you need to take the inner out if you've got to dry it. The tent is fully waterproof. It's a polyester, a ripstop polyester fabric which has been coated and all the seams are taped. So it's a fully waterproof tent. Same with the ground sheet. It's a heavier duty polyester with a coating, a waterproof coating and fully taped seams. We've pitched this really quickly, just using the 2 pegging points at the front and the back, but you get plenty of pegging points, so in extreme weather you get more security. There's guying points here and at the front, there's a guying point on every pole, so you can really secure this down in really windy weather. So it's a good 3-season tent. It'll withstand, good strong winds, plenty of rain. So to get in, you've got a doorway at this side here. You've got an additional doorway leading into the open vestibule at the front. You've got another doorway at the side in here, so you can get in either side of the vestibule, leaving this area covered. You can have this side of the tent open. You can open this side. So now you've got both sides open. The tent is supported through this front section on the 2 guy points here. What you can also do is secure the tent using this section here. So you can see now the tension of the tent is taken here. So what you can do is you can drop this front section completely. So unroll one side. Wide open space. Tent supported nicely by these 2 guy lines. Nice and airy. So on a really nice warm sunny evening you can open the whole thing up. Just do up the front door of the tent to keep the mozzies and the nasty biting insects out, and you can sleep while it's reducing the condensation inside the tent. Okay, so here I am. I'm sat in the vestibule or the porch or whatever you want to call it, but you can see there's plenty of space. So I'm 6'3", and I can stretch out in here, about 2 meters wide, plenty of space. So like I said, if you wanted to use this for sleeping in, you have that option. Then you can sit up in here. You could cook in here as long as you've got plenty of ventilation, and it just gives you that additional space. You could probably get a couple of bikes in here as well if you're cycle touring. You've got a mesh section at the top here for ventilation. And you can unzip it all the way around. This is a really nice feature. That zip virtually goes all the way around the tent door. And that means you can roll it away, stuff it in a little bag next to it there. It means you're not trampling all over the door if it falls out into the mud here or the wet grass. It keeps that door nice and clean and dry. As you can see, you've got a really spacious inner tent. So if I get in, loads of room. I can sit up in here. Okay, so my head's touching the top, but I can sit in here quite comfortably. A bit easier to get changed in here, get ready for whatever it is you're doing that day. This is a 3-man tent. So if you're all good mates and it's all a bit cosy, that's fine. But it also makes a really nice, comfortable 2-man tent to give you plenty of room, which is a great option for base camping, where you want plenty of space, but you're not too bothered about the weight. You get 2 mesh storage pockets at the side. Pop your alarm clock, your phone, your car keys, whatever, stick them in the side there. And there's also a mesh ventilation panel at the back here, which lines up with the mesh on the outside of the fly sheet. Okay, so we've put 3 of our mats in here just to show you the sleeping possibility. So we've got an X-Bed Sinmat 7 medium, we've got a Neo Air regular, and we've got a Thermarest Trail Light large in here. So you can see you can get 3 people in here quite easily. So what I'll do is I'll go and grab some more guys and we'll all get in and we'll show you. So we're all going to get in the tent to give you an idea of what the size is like inside. So just so you know, I'm 6'3".
6'2", well about 6 foot.
So there you go. There's 3 of us in here. There's plenty of room. You know, we all quite like each other. It's quite cosy, but it's perfectly acceptable. And plenty of room. If you wanted extra room, obviously you could just kick Harry out the middle here. I'm sure he wouldn't mind it. It'd just give us a bit more space for me and Steve to have a little time to ourselves. Okay, so as well as the front options with that front door there, you have this side door here. So if you've got all your luggage and stuff stored away in the front, you can simply unzip this door, roll it up, and you've got the loops at the top, pull the toggle around from the outside, and that gives you loads of ventilation. It gives you great access in and out of the tent. On a nice warm sunny day you can open it right out and get stacks of air flowing around in here. Okay, so let's talk condensation. It's a big issue in the UK, particularly we're a temperate climate. We get warm days, cool nights, misty mornings, you know, and it can be a bit of a problem. So let's not ignore it, let's try and alleviate it. The trick to reducing condensation in the tent is to get plenty of air flowing through the tent to move that warm air that's inside the tent to the outside. So the warm air is created by us. We sweat, we breathe, we exhale warm damp air. So that's all inside the tent. And if it's a cool night, the air outside is cooler than the warm air inside. The 2 meet on the bottom of the fly sheet, and that causes condensation. That's just physics. You can't escape from it, but you can do an awful lot to reduce it. Get that air flowing through the tent. So the Hoolie 3 ETC, you've got a big mesh air vent at the back here, which you can leave exposed like this. You don't have to use these guy ropes if it's not very windy. And at the front, with the zip configuration, you can open up the door as much or as little as you like to make sure you get that air flowing through the tent. So like I said, pitch either the nose or the tail into the wind so the wind comes through and drags that warm air out. Okay, to make sure that air flows through nicely, you've got 2 zip pullers here and you've also got a zip puller at either end. So that allows you to configure the front of the tent so however you want. You can open this side for access, that side for access. You can remove the whole front of the tent, drop it down and expose the inside. But if it's a bit wet and a bit drizzly and you don't want to expose the tent too much, you can literally just pull these zippers at the front and create an effective vent at the top here, which can be covered by this flap here, which is then pegged down. So if you'll pitch the tent nose into the wind like you should, the air will come through and hit this and drag that warm air out. So you can open this as much as you like. So don't be afraid of leaving your tent open at night. You know, obviously if it's tipping down with rain, just try and keep the ventilation as open as you can. But if it's been a really warm day, you've been working hard, you're a bit sweaty, you know it's not going to rain overnight, get the tent open. Get lots of air going through here just to reduce that condensation. Once you've finished using your tent and you've collapsed it down like this by simply unhooking the ends of the poles from the grommets, you end up in this state with it nice and flat and poles straight in the pole sleeves. It's really important that you don't pull the poles out of the sleeve. The poles are in sections and they're elasticated cord running through. So if you pull the pole out, you're in danger of separating those sections and actually trapping the pole against the fabric, or worse, ripping the fabric on the edges of the sections. So a really good technique is to pull the fabric onto the pole and push the pole throughout the other end. So I'll just show you. You need plenty of room for this because it's a long pole. So how I do it is I sit the pole nicely into my waist here, sat down on the tent, and then you pull the tent fabric onto the pole, like so. And I hold the pole where the tent fabric ends, and to simply pull that off the end, like so. Really smooth, really quick, no danger of damaging your tent or the pole. What you don't want to do is when you separate it, is do that. You hear that noise? That's not good, because what you're doing is you're bashing the thin end of the pole here against the thicker end of the grommet here. So when you're pulling the pole apart, do it nice and gently. You don't want to hear any nasty alloy on alloy knocking noises. Okay? Don't allow those sections to bang together. Okay, so the poles pack down into their own bag, and obviously your pack size is going to be determined by the length of the pole. And also within the bag is this little alloy tube. If you're wondering what this is for, this is an emergency splint, just in case you manage to break or bend or crack one of these poles. They are strong, they're flexible, but if you overexert them, fall on them, overbend them, they will crack or break. And should that happen, what you can do is you simply slide this section over the brake, put some gaffer tape around there just to hold it in place, and that will just splint the pole to get you through your trip or your camping journey till you get home and get a replacement pole sorted out. So you've taken your tent down, you've got your poles out nice and safely, they're packed away, so you're left with a sort of crumpled heap of fabric on the floor here. So before you roll this up and pack it away, just make sure you've done all the zips up. The tent will pack down much more neatly with it all tight together with the zips done up. And make sure you empty all the contents out the inner tent if you've put your head torch or your wallet or something in the little mesh pockets inside. So empty it all out so that when you roll the tent up, you've not got any sharp objects or anything that could potentially damage the fabric of the tent. So we'll just show you now how we think is one of the best ways to get a tent rolled up and packed away. Spread it out so it resembles the shape of the fully pitched tent. Flip it over. Ground sheet up. And that way, if the ground sheet's particularly dirty or wet, it just gives you an opportunity to give that a wipe down. Or if it's a sunny day, you can just leave it like this for 5 or 10 minutes just to dry off. And also if there's any condensation on the inside of the fly sheet, it just allows that little bit of time to dry. If you fold that over, you get yourself a nice square shape, which is much easier to fold. Fold it into the middle, get as much of the air out as you can. As much of the air out. And that way, if the fly sheet is wet, you're putting wet fabric against wet fabric rather than putting onto the inner tent fabric. So start at one end, grab your poles and your pegs, pop them in, roll it nice and tight. Easy peasy. All done, ready for your next adventure.